Middle Life. How you doing? Thank you very much. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. We've got a great show for you. I know it's... It's all right. I don't know what I did this week, but thank you very much. I know. It's going to be an exciting time. It's a little more than a month before the election. Oh, yeah. The vice presidential debate is Tuesday. You excited about that? Really? Ooh, okay, you do you. I'm not But this I thought was kind of juicy. J.D. Vance, he's in the debate. He's the vice presidential candidate. They got his text messages now. You know, before he was on the Trump team, he compared Trump to Hitler, said Trump was like Hitler. Hitler. Turns out in his private text messages, as late as 2020, he was saying Trump is a failure as president. But he says he has a simple explanation for why the private messages are different than the public pronouncements. He's a huge liar. No, this is what he says. This is his conversion theory. Here's what he says is that he was won over by Trump's performance in office. Really? You say he's Hitler, but then maybe not because of tariffs? Okay. But Trump... But, you know, Trump, I say this every week, but it's truer every week, he's just losing it more. I mean, whether it's the dogs eating the... or the, you know, last week it was, I could have been bigger than Elvis if I had a guitar. I mean, this week he says China ruined the furniture industry. The furniture industry, China. He said, I'm not making that, he said, chairs used to last. But now they only last a couple of months. Yes, that's why when Donald Trump sits on a chair, it breaks. China. Oh, man, China. Man. The Chinese, they also make pants that split, makeup that runs, and ramps that make you fall down. Those goddamn Chinese. But, you know, he knows he's losing, and he's losing to a woman. So he's now going after the woman. He said this week, women, if he gets reelected, women will be, this is a quote, will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. You're promising women will be confident? Are you a dictator or a deodorant? He also said he will be the greatest protector of women. In fact, he cares about women so much that when he had his beauty pageants, he used to walk into the dressing room to check up on them. He's also obsessed with the idea that Kamala Harris worked at McDonald's. Or rather that she didn't. She says that she did when she was young, like zillions of people do. And he says, no, there's no evidence of it. You cannot prove you worked at McDonald's. First of all, who pads their resume by saying they worked at McDonald's? I think Kamala Harris is playing this one just right. Now, one of her big issues that she's vulnerable on is the border. So she went to the border this week. She went to the border at Arizona. She used to be the border czar. She visited there. So, interesting. Along with working at McDonald's, now that's two places she worked that have a convenient drive-through. Also, working to shore up her vulnerabilities. There's been a lot of pressure on her. She doesn't do interviews. She doesn't answer it. So she sat for an interview. She said, okay, I will answer your hardball questions. So she went on MSNBC. Okay, all right. I wasn't, you know, there were not hardball questions, but I still expected not them to be rubbing her feet. And of course, this is the week, we see it every year, the big event goes on in New York. The UN meets in this week every year in September. And, I mean, you could say a lot of bad things about the UN, and I probably will tonight. But there is something stirring about 133 different nations all coming together, different governments, different economies, different goals, and they all have one thing in common. They've all bribed Eric Adams. I mean, I like Eric. He's been on the show, the mayor of New York. I don't understand politicians. I really don't. I mean, he let Turkey, the country of Turkey, bribe him for what? For like $10,000 worth of bullshit, upgrades and flights and hotel rooms. Oh, and what did they get for it? Oh, the fire department inspection. He called that off on their consul. I mean, this is so petty. And also, he was going to get caught. There were other signs Turkey was in the fix here. I mean, he renamed the Lincoln Tunnel after Dr. Oz. Come on. Now. Okay, and now to our friends in Florida, Hurricane Helene. Oh, I know. We are thinking about you, our friends down there, because, oh, wow, that was a bad hurricane. And if you're currently in the bushes outside Mar-a-Lago, please, shelter in place. The Secret Service will eventually find you. But I mean, every time we have a hurricane, I see the same thing on the news. Every news has the one guy who they interview who won't go, won't evacuate because God has a plan. Yes, his plan, he's going to drown you. Have you read the Bible? It's a lot of people drowning. All right, we got a great show. Ian Bremmer and Yuval Noah Harari are here. But first up, she is one of the greatest wits America has ever produced, currently touring An Evening with Fran Lebowitz. You can catch her next on November 13th in Nashville, Tennessee, and November 14th in Richardson, Texas. Fran Lebowitz. How are you? Good to see you as always. Fran?
Yes?
Great to see you. Thank you for coming by for your annual check-in here at Real Time. We need you so badly. The people love you. They want you. They need your wisdom. You have wisdom. And you're hoarding your wisdom. So give this your wisdom tonight. What is on your mind? Mostly the election, I would guess. Kamala Harris.
Yeah, the election is on my mind. The state of the world is on my mind. Eric Adams is on my mind.
Well, as in New Yorker, what do you think about that? I mean, I'm so amazed. Not that politicians can be bribed, but that they can be bribed so cheaply.
He's not, he's not a genius, Eric Adams. So, I mean, when I didn't even vote for him, okay? So, like, it didn't take much to see that he was, at best, a crook, okay? So, I didn't vote for him even in general. I voted for the socialist candidate, even though I'm not a socialist. I don't remember her name. I wouldn't recognize her in a crowd of one. But I did not want to be 1/1,000,000th responsible for Eric Adams. So this should not come as a revelation. I mean, the specifics, I agree with you. I mean, when I saw all the specific stuff, like especially the plane tickets, where he asked for like 3 more business class tickets and 2 more business class tickets, and I thought, Eric, you're stealing first class. Like, why business class?
But for the pettiness of the crimes, don't you think they're coming down on him a little hard?
No, he's the mayor of New York. No.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I'm not excusing it, but I mean, I've seen politicians do slightly worse things.
Right.
Like try to overthrow the government of the United States. I mean,
right.
It's just, I don't know if it rises to this level of umbrage by everybody so shocked and horrified. This is the worst thing that ever happened. It's a little over the top.
Well, I don't think anyone thinks it's the worst thing that's ever happened. It's just that I don't understand why they didn't find this stuff out before, which it was very clear. It's not like, before this, he was like Abraham Lincoln, and then he turned out to be this. I mean, this was a very apparent thing. He didn't even apparently live in New York. There's one, as far as I can tell, there's one rule for being the mayor. You have to live in New York City. Okay? He said he lived in an apartment in Brooklyn, but he also had a condominium in Fort Lee, New Jersey, which he said first he said he had nothing to do with, his girlfriend lived in it. Then he said, well, yes, but his primary residence was in Brooklyn. And I'm thinking, you're a public servant. What do you mean your primary residence? Who are you, Barry Diller? How could you have two residences? I mean, so he didn't even live in New York, okay? He also ran partially on the fact that he was a vegan, which I cannot think of anything less important than what they eat, okay? Then finally, a bunch of reporters went into his apartment in Brooklyn, and one of them opened the refrigerator, which is why you don't want a bunch of reporters in your apartment. And there was bacon in the refrigerator. Now, I'm no expert on veganism, but I'm thinking bacon, probably not.
Yeah.
Then he said it was his son's bacon, and I think it's because it was his son's apartment.
I see.
All right, so, no, I don't think they're coming down to it. You are much more tolerant than I am, Bill.
Yes.
Okay, so...
Oh, we know that.
And you also don't live in New York, so you
Right.
don't care who the mayor is, but I do.
Right. Yeah, well, no, I don't. All right, well, let's move on. Now, I don't know if you see this program often, probably not, because it involves electricity.
Right.
You have electric. But I've been obsessed all year with this idea that they had 4 years to get Trump, 5 different trials, and somehow they let it go away. Like he's not really going to get it. The trials are not going to be apparently involved in the